Next question. How do I deal with being in an environment I'm forced to be in? I'm 18 years old, and I have 1 year of school left. High school is just a place I perish in. It kills creativity. All of the information taught is easily obtainable on the internet. I don't feel like I have any purpose in school. Learning things that will be little to no use in my life for 8 hours a day. Just seems dumb, and having Asperger's and ADHD doesn't make sitting in a math class for 90 minutes easier. Also, most people are not about achievement, motivation, or anything, but would rather play it safe and stay in our small town all their life. Would love to hear your thoughts on a forced environment.
Well, I will tell you that the thoughts contained in that paragraph probably encapsulate a large number of humans in, high school. Myself being included in that group. Myself and my buddies, when we were growing up, we didn't want to be in high school. We wanted to get out. We wanted to get after it. We wanted to do other. We wanted to see the world. We wanted to make things happen, right? Not necessarily good things either, but just things.
Just make it happen.
We just wanted to make stuff happen. Mm-hmm. And, when I hear this is kind of very normal. So first of all, I'd be like, hey, man, you're just feeling what normal people feel. I mean, not everybody, because some people really enjoy high school. They enjoy education. Not a large number, but some people recognize that it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
High school is an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to learn. And it's an opportunity to hang out and meet people and, kind of live that part of your life. I mean, it is one of the most relaxing things. It's one of the most relaxing phases of life, right? You just have nothing, no pressure. And I say no pressure. And when you're in high school, you're like, well, no, I had to take a test.
Yeah, homework.
Exactly, right? This is another thing that I always think about with forced environments. So when I was a kid, I worked construction, and some of the guys I worked construction with were pretty rough characters, and one of them had done a fair amount of time in prison. And one of the things that he said to me was, when you're in prison, if you stand right next to the bars in your cell, if you stand right next to them, then you're locked in there. But if you walk back away from the bars and you see what kind of freedom you got inside that cell, even though it's small, it's bigger than when you stand right next to the bars.
Yeah.
So I always had this feeling of, just step back from the bars a little bit. And I've actually explained that to some buddies of mine when they would feel trapped in the Navy, because even the SEAL teams, I loved it, but guys would sometimes start feeling trapped in the Navy.
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, you know what? If you want to get out, get out. Give yourself an out if you want to, but just then assess it from a position where you say, you know what, I could get out if I wanted to. So don't stand so close to the bars like I'm stuck in the Navy. Step back and go, you know what, if I want to get out, I'll get out. Yeah. And then they look at it and they go, you know what, actually it's not a bad deal. Right. It's a pretty good deal. Yeah. And that's what I would do in a situation like this. You look at going to high school. I mean, yeah, you're trapped in school for 8 hours a day, but 8 hours a day in school plus 8 hours a day of sleep, if you sleep that much, that leaves you 8 hours a day of doing whatever you want, right? And that's awesome. Plus, you got weekends thrown in there.
Yep.
So you got a lot of opportunity to do all kinds of things. So going to high school for 8 hours a day is a small price to pay for the opportunities that you have while you're in high school. So I don't view it really as a forced environment. I view it as an opportunity. I mean, do they got a gym there? You're going to learn something, even if it's stuff that you could learn on the internet. Why not have a human teach it to you? Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Sit in that class and learn what you can. If you got ADHD and Asperger's, okay, let's see how our discipline can get control over that. And we challenge ourselves to work on the patience and work on paying attention. Paying attention is a skill. I learned that when I went to college. It's a skill. It's a skill to be able to sit down and read something that you do not want to read. It's a skill. It's a skill to be able to sit into a class and listen to a lecture on a subject that you do not want to listen to. That takes. I just got a cool Twitter that next time I'll try and remember to read it. But it's a guy that was like, hey, I hated school. And I'm going through this class right now, and I got to write these responses to these reading assignments that we've got, and it was really bothering me. And he said, I was listening to the podcast, and you're fired up about linguistics and fired up. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to own this. And now he's totally fired up to tear those reading assignments apart and dig into them and find out what the words mean, and he's killing it now.
Yep. I'm in the same boat, by the way.
Check. That's outstanding. So, again, you're not trapped unless you stand right next to those bars that are in front of your face. Step back away from the bars, look around, and see what kind of freedom you actually have. And you got a lot of freedom. May not feel like it,
Right.
but you got a lot of freedom. You have a lot of things to take advantage of, from time to equipment to education. Take advantage of all that stuff. You got another year left. Kill it. Make it happen. And that's my advice to the senior in high school.
Brad, you mentioned reading or paying attention is a skill, and you mentioned reading stuff that you don't want to read. And remember how I said a few times back where that's a common thing. People would just, I don't want to read a book, That's not like that. That's pretty common. A lot of people would prefer not to read audiobooks or whatever. But if you're willing to read, or you like to read, I would even go beyond and almost call that a superpower. Not like a superpower like it's superhuman or anything, but that's like a major advantage. And I mentioned this where all the information you ever want to know is out there, and you can access it. If you know how to read, you can access it. But here's the thing, and everyone kind of knows that in one way or another. People, especially here in the U.S., you kind of know that information's everywhere. All the information. Whether you understand it or not, that's a different thing. This information can help you in probably 90 to 99% of anything you want to do. It can help you become that, achieve that. All this information. All you need is this information, and then you just act on it and do it, right? Then why isn't everyone just successful in everything they want to do? In every single way. You can learn all the information. You can learn all the skills by reading about it. All of it right now.
Lack of discipline.
Because they don't want to read it. Who wants to go to the library or get a book and read a 2,000-page book on economics? Even though if they were just to read it 3 times, they would know exactly what to do, what to invest in, where you'd know a lot. You'd have some powerful information to become, I don't know, rich or just make more money or whatever. So the reason that people don't is because they don't want to read. That's it. Meanwhile, and we talked about this before, meanwhile, you have time to read. If you have time to watch TV, you have time to read. If you have time to, I don't know, go to the beach or, I don't know, whatever you do in your spare time, you have time to read. Going to the beach won't help you in ways that reading can help you. And watching reality TV can't help you as much as reading can help you. But it's one of those things that it's viewed as such a chore, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's viewed as a chore instead of being viewed as an opportunity.
Yeah. And I think the reading, like, if someone could just inject all the information into your brain,
Matrix
then
style.
people would do it, But it's that reading, that's the chore. That's what they don't want to do. So consider that, right? He mentioned that all this information is available on the internet, right? But in school, you have a teacher who knows this information. You can ask questions about it. You can I've read stuff that I'm like, I don't really get what he means right there. I'll read it again. I don't really get read it again. I still don't get what he means by this. But at school, you just raise your hand, ask a question. He'll explain it. You don't understand? Raise your hand again. You can raise your hand out after everything the teacher says. You can raise your hand, tell him, explain it again. He's right there. Every class. There's your opportunity right there.
Indeed, sir.
Next question.
Echo fired up for the reading. I like that.
I'm telling you, man. It's like one day's the light's on.
But this is kind of new, right?
It's new, yes.
This is post Jocko Podcast.
This is post Jocko Podcast.
And now you're just absorbing information.
Right. And it's not this thing where I started to get into reading. It was like when you walk into the room, the lights are off. It's like, oh, there's nothing really in this room. I don't see anything in this room.
Right.
You turn on the light, you're like, oh my gosh, all this was here this whole time. I'm over here at this age. I could have been doing this the whole time, just reading. You know where I'd be right now if I started doing this a while ago? Oh my gosh. This guy's 18, denying it, keeping the light off. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Turn the
You don't
light
have to do
on.
that. Just all you gotta just turn it on. Turn it on. That's all you gotta do.
Good advice.